Welcome to the show, Robbie. And I really am so excited to have you here because you are doing something that like we all want to do. And I think that we get really scared about doing. So you're a painter, you're an artist, and you just quit your day job and went full time on your art.
I did.
So how scared are you right now?
It was a thought out decision, so I definitely feel confident with where I'm going with it.
So was it kind of just a now or never thing, or had you been planning this for a while?
When everything changed with the pandemic, I kind of lost sight of doing my art, just because I had a lot of life changes going on, and I kind of felt like that dream was no longer possible for a while. So I kind of put it all on the back burner. Didn't really think about it. Just worked a lot of different filler jobs, and now it just kind of like I realized that this is the time. Like I need to go all in.
Yeah, and that's so hard because it's something I think that so many of us want to do, and we let all the little things kind of creep in and maybe tear away our confidence a little bit. So, what were the steps that kind of helped you kind of work your way to that, to where you felt like you felt confident, like letting some of that go?
Kind of decided to go all in on my art because I personally need it. Even if everything in my life is going well, if I'm not utilizing some form of creative outlet, I always feel like something's missing. So even some of the best times in my life looking back, I had everything in my life seemingly falling apart, but I was creating art, and so I was happy. Uh, yeah. So with that in mind, and then also the fact that um, I've had really great mentors and a really good external support system, just kind of helping me, not financially, but like support wise, like emotionally, and um, encouraging me to push through those fears and to just do it. That's been a super great help. Having friends who remind me that I'm capable, and having a partner who's really supportive and says, just go for it because we're going to figure it out one way or another.
Right. And I mean, it's hard work. It's not like it's this easy decision that you just made and now everything is happening. But you like came into it knowing that you were going to work for this because it was that important to you, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, I think there's so much that holds us back, but I love that you talked about it being your happy place because I worry that sometimes we kind of settle for things that don't make us happy, or things that we just kind of just feel like, well, this is security, and then it kind of stifles and it drains that artistic person inside of us. What did you have any like, fears and doubts like we all do? And what were some of your biggest fears and doubts?
My biggest fears and doubts were, I want to say what most people's are, in the fact that like obviously it's like how am I going to pay my bills? What if there's no work? What if people don't like what I'm doing and don't want to support it? All those things that like everyone's constantly worrying about, when it comes to their art, I think. But with that, I think I overcome those experiences with my internal drive and determination, and the fact that I need to be creating. And then also with my external support system pushing me and growing me and helping me network. Um, it kind of like at that point, when you've got that many people at your back and on your side, and you've got that internal drive and thirst for growth in this craft, at that point, all of that kind of overrules that. But I definitely still deal with them. Um, Definitely still have moments where it's like, okay, how are we going to make this month work? But it always works.
Yeah, what do you tell yourself in those what if moments, or when you're having some of that internal dialogue that will creep in? Like you said, we have those moments because I could be having like the best day ever, and I'm on top of it. I'm like, yes, I've gotten all of these things done. I'm heading towards this goal. I'm heading towards that goal, and then I'll have a moment of utter, why am I doing this? What am I doing? Who do I think I am? So what do you tell yourself in those moments? Do you have like a toolkit that you use to kind of talk yourself down from that?
Let's see. I think mostly in those moments, I find that I need to start doing something. like to get out of my head and get onto a canvas or onto a wall or onto anything I can do to like express that externally rather than just like keeping it in my mind and letting that internal war go on. Um, so it kind of like when those doubts start to creep in and when that negative self dialogue starts to happen, it's like, to me, it's like the warning bells of like, okay, you need to start focusing more on your craft. Like, what can I start reading to try and like learn new skills? Can I hop on YouTube and try and pick up another aspect of it? Like find something to do, because that action to me helps put the thoughts back in their place and makes me realize, okay, I can do this. I'm taking action actively right now, and I can do this. So
Awesome. Okay, so tell me a little bit about maybe the mediums that you're using and some of the things that you're working on now, because I know that you just got back from a big trip to San Francisco, and I'm really excited to hear what you were doing. If you're allowed to talk about it, I don't know how that goes.
I can talk about certain aspects. I can't talk
Okay.
about it in detail, just
All
for the
right,
sake.
top secret. Top secret
Right.
art mission.
Yes. um, but yeah, no, I typically I'm using water-based paints like acrylics. I actually just learned how to use a new skill while in San Francisco. The senior artists there were teaching me how to use an HVLP gun to make an airbrush effect, which was really awesome. It's like a high volume, low pressure spray paint gun. So that
That
way we
sounds
can
fun.
take, yeah, it was really cool. I definitely never thought I'd be using one of those, but here we are. You basically take the paint and like water it down, filter it out, and put it into this device. And then it's typically used for like full coverage on automotive type things, like in like the real world. But we used it as an airbrushing effect on like a large scale. So that was really cool. Um, Typically, other than that, it's a lot of paint, a lot of water, a lot of patience and time. but
Yeah. So, I mean, so how do people find you to kind of connect with you to say, I would like you to paint this mural for me? For people who are thinking about, for painters who have thought, well, man, I would love to, make a living painting murals.
Yeah, I've been really fortunate. I started my Instagram specifically, like separate from my personal Instagram, when I was in college, and just started putting anything that I did on it, even if it wasn't necessarily art based, even if it was more performance based, and slowly gained a following on there. And then now that I've started this business, I've taken that same Instagram and I've started promoting it more and trying to rebrand it and move more in this. Professional direction that I'm going now. And then with that, I've also got super great friends who are constantly promoting me. Anytime they see someone posting about a project that they need done, they tag me in it. That way I can get that connection going. And um, I think it's just a lot of like searching and constantly looking for opportunities and always saying yes, if at all possible.
Yeah, and so I mean, what would you do in that moment when maybe if you went a little bit longer without maybe getting some work in? What are some things that you might do to kind of fill in that time for people who are thinking, well, what if? Because I think that's going to be the biggest thing for anyone who wants to do more, who wants to go all
Yeah,
in on their art. It's going to be the what ifs, and we don't know. We can't always. Um, Predict what's going to happen, but we can have a game plan. We can set some
yeah.
things in order for ourselves.
Absolutely. For me specifically, I do have a background in serving and bartending, so that helps to have that too, that other skill, that worst case scenario. I could look and see if anyone needs a wedding bartended, like other types of gig jobs, or check and see if any of the restaurants I used to work for just need a fill in real quick. Sometimes when you develop those relationships and you build those connections, they will let you do that. There's always something you can do. Like, don't let fear be what stops you, because there's always someone who needs something. And as long as you're willing to provide that for them, then you can make it work. First step, just practice, practice, practice. Even if you only have 30 minutes a day after your day job, do something with your art. Or if you're not doing something with your art, research into your art, watch some YouTube videos. Like, instead of popping on a Netflix show to decompress, pop on a YouTube video about how to expand your craft. Like you're going to be using that for the same purpose, to decompress and to like have a life after your workday, but like instead of channeling into those different areas, unless that is what you do, unless you're an actor. I mean, I guess it's, yeah, whatever media that can help propel you, tune into that instead of the other form. Soaking up all that knowledge and acting as a sponge is the absolute first step. And then practicing your craft, following that, even if you've only got 15 to 30 minutes a day. Or some weeks you might not have any time, but like maybe setting aside that weekend to do something. Um, Past that, I would say join all the Facebook groups. Look and see what communities there are. Like tap into these different things. Subscribe to channels like this one, and just immerse yourself in different things that are going to inspire you.
Yeah.
Definitely finding inspiration in people who are in the industry and like learning from them. I think that's step one. Like you have to have that, and you have to have that baseline before you quit your day job. But then once you do, the world's open. So
Yeah, and I find that too. I love to listen to other authors talk craft, and it's funny because like I'll read their books and things, but I have favorite authors that like if they do an interview, if they do any kind of talk on any podcast on anything, I'm like I'm right there and I'm listening to it because it just helps to listen to other people, in your field who are talking about their experiences, what they're doing, their process. I find it opens up so much, in my own creative mind and just, I don't know, there's just some like a camaraderie there too. And I love to listen to other people and how they do things. But you're right. So we have to treat it like a full-time job. We can't just make art our full-time job if we're not committed to it, if we're not consistent, if we're not putting as much as we can into it. I think that's very important that we look at it as okay, if you want to do art full time, if you want to go all in, then you have to prepare yourself the same way you would for that day job or for whatever career, whether it's corporate or something else. You have to put that time into it, and you have to kind of, I guess, change your brain over, right? Kind of switch over into gear. Like, okay, this is what I'm doing, so I'm going to get up. I'm going to do the things. I'm going to research. I'm going to learn. Like what you're saying is so important. And I think if more of us would, if more people, more artists, more creatives really focused on it that heavily, I think it not only opens up opportunities for you, but it really, I think it gives you a confidence that I am this thing. Because so many people don't, oh, well, yeah, I do this on the side, or well, and we're so afraid to say, I'm a writer, I'm an author, I'm a painter, I'm an artist, I'm a musician, I'm a singer songwriter,
yeah.
and some people own that. But I think there's a lot of people who are afraid, and because I've seen this in conversations with people, we're afraid to say, I'm this thing. Why do we need people to go all in on their art? Why is this important?
Honestly, I feel like art is what brings us out of the darkness. Like, even if it's not, like you said, even if it's not something like life changing, just that one little kernel of joy is necessary. We spend so much time like focusing on all the negative and feeling all those negative emotions that even if just one simple kernel of happiness can bring you out of that, I think that's important. So I think that's why art is important. We need it to feed our minds and our souls. And I think everyone needs art in some form or fashion.
Well, thank you for coming on the show. I want everyone to follow your journey and let's start it. Let's, continue this community online and encouraging people to just follow, their talents and their heart and to keep putting these beautiful things out into the world. So thank you again. And we'll check back soon.
Thank you for having me.